けど久しぶりにバイブス上げてこう嬉しそうできるスイカ
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And we're back. We're talking about the conclusion to Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, the Shibuya arc. And if you want to hear us talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 when it comes back, because Season 3 has been confirmed, then go ahead and like the video, head on down in the comments, let us know what you think, and subscribe so you do not miss an episode of the podcast. Now grab a drink, kick back, and listen up, because this may take a while.
You know, I didn't know that Season 3 was confirmed just yet, but at the same time, even if it wasn't confirmed, it'd be confirmed because it's Jujutsu Kaisen. This has easily been the biggest anime of this season. And last season.
And the years prior from when Season 1 came out.
It's been the talk of the town for a while. I hear a lot more about it than Demon Slayer nowadays, actually.
I think, and maybe it's because Demon Slayer's technically been going on for longer, but I think people are starting to wise up that Demon Slayer was, in fact, always kind of bad, and this show is actually pretty darn good.
I saw Trash Taste knocking Demon Slayer. I was astounded.
The normies have finally caught up with us intelligent folk.
Hey, it only... well, that makes it sound a little bad, but...
I'm sorry. I know medicine is bitter and tough to swallow, but sometimes you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and you gotta face facts, and you gotta admit to yourself, Demon Slayer was never really that good.
But you know what is good? Jujutsu Kaisen, which, just full spoiler ahead, we have been gassing up the entire podcast series, so no need to leave your hate comments just yet. We've been, we've had our criticisms, we've had our asterisks.
Aside from, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, we've been pretty positive about the entire show.
What the hell are you? Mahito! You don't have to shout! I can hear you fine! Yuji Itadori!
Yeah, the last podcast was probably the most criticism heavy we'd been since, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and even then we were like, yeah, it's on track to be an 8. So, we are absolutely fans of the show, and I'll say this, Season 2, it's weird, because everyone says, oh, Season 2, clear Season 1, it's so good. And on the one hand, having finished the season, I do agree with that. I think Season 2 is way less consistent than Season 1. Season 1 started off solid and then just got better and better as it went on, as it, sort of fell into the groove that is its identity, whereas before
it was trying to find
basic.
Its footing, and it took it like 10-ish episodes before it found its footing in the second half.
Yeah, but with this season, 1 second it'll clear Season 1 and be the best thing ever, and then the next moment it'll be, well, that was disappointing, or, well, that was kind of boring, or, well, why did you do that? You could have done that way better. Or, boring. I guess retconning an explanation for why Nanami didn't check the body is okay, I guess it's better than the alternative. Stuff like that.
Hold on, we gotta rewind to that boring bit. I was never bored watching these episodes.
I wasn't bored for the first 2 blocks of episodes. I had a bit of a moment here, and this is, I think, the most you will disagree with me in any of the Jujutsu Kaisen more than the stuff about Nobara at the end of Season 1, which we were arguing about for far too long. You're gonna disagree with me on this one way harder.
Oh boy.
The 2 Sukuna episodes. The first one was solid. The second one is the worst episode of the entire season.
Have you been taking your stupid pills lately, Crunchy? Have you been?
Why, yes, I have.
Thank
you for asking.
Retard pills?
Yeah, I've been overdosing on them lately. Actually,
I've been ODing on my retard medication. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm gonna explain what I mean by
season?
that. Unironically, yes. It was the only episode I can say where I was bored for a significant portion of it.
Explain yourself immediately.
So Sukuna, he's our big, badass villain, and although I wasn't nearly as into him as you were for the majority of the show, I had my come into Jesus moment last podcast, so I was like, at the very end of the block of episodes we covered for the Shibuya Incident arc in that podcast, I was like, you know what, he was doing some crazy stuff. I am now super interested in what he'll do for the next block
Bro
of
is a
episodes.
spotlight stealer.
Yeah. For that episode at the end of the last block anyway, he was super interesting, and for the first episode of this block, episode of this season, it is 16, he goes up against Jogo and just gats the fucker. He kills Gojo, he fights Jogo, god damn it. He fights fire with fire,
that comes
quite
later.
literally. Yeah. He just has the better fire, bro. And they have this big fight, this big flashy light show that takes down a huge portion of the city, causes
Poor
all
fucking
sorts of destruction.
It only had 2 fights the entire show, and both of them were against the 2 strongest characters in the verse.
Yeah, and the best part of the fight is, in my opinion, that Jogo is the one causing pretty much all of the destruction throughout that fight. He's the one firing stuff constantly, hoping to get even a scratch on Sukuna. But he's like, nah fam, and then just with one blow, he meets his makers. He also meets the other cursed spirits that have died throughout this battle. I think I don't remember the tree one.
So many moments.
Or the Red Lobster guy's name either, so never mind, scratch that.
Yeah, there are so many moments of Sukunography throughout these 2 episodes that, like, if I already wasn't sold on him being my favorite character, after those 2 episodes, he is far and away the best character in Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's not even fucking close.
I don't agree with that at all, but you know what? We have our differences.
Okay, were
I'm
you
still
not
not at the explanation yet.
How were you not, like, bending the knee to Lord Sukuna when Jogo's firing the big ass meteor at him, and then when he goes to all those other sorcerers, he's like, who are about to run away, he's like, no, actually, we're gonna play a game. Y'all are gonna stand.
Okay, that was
right
the
where
best
you
part
are.
of the fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, y'all gonna
aside
stand
from the
right
very
where
end of
you
it,
are.
that was awesome.
Y'all are gonna stand right where you are, and you're going to let this meteor approach you. And you can only run away when I say go. And if any of y'all move before I say go, I will kill you stone dead right here, right now. And everyone freezes. They're all terrified of the meteor coming, but they're more terrified of Sukuna because they know that death by meteor is less of a guarantee than death by Sukuna. Godlike moment.
Yeah, but there's also this undercurrent throughout the fight, and this is a very personal thing, in my taste in fight scenes. I think the best fights are the ones where the powers aren't nearly as godlike as the ones that Sukuna and Jogo kind of has to a much lesser degree. And I'm not even necessarily knocking this specific episode for it. The knocking comes later in the next episode. But for this episode, like, when I see the fight, it's almost like it becomes so far abstracted from anything that makes sense within reality that to me, I'm just watching it and I see it as a pretty light show. I'm like, okay, stuff is flying everywhere, destruction constantly. It's a spectacle show. And I'm not as into it as...
Are you saying you like more
the
like
fight between
street level fights as opposed to, like, big flashy powers clashing?
I like big flashy powers clashing, but not when they're on a just ridiculous scale, where it's like, it feels more like 2 people who are just using abilities that... okay, so to draw from an actual example, Bleach, the powers can get kinda wacky, and they're very, very powerful. That series has already power scaled really far. For where we're at in the series.
After 2 fucking arcs.
Yeah, I fear for Bleach's future power scaling. Let's just put it
Ichigo
that
is
way.
already on the level of captains after what, like a few collective days worth of trading, like a couple weeks at best.
But the fights in that show remain tense to me because they're all, however flashy they get, they do not get over the top. It feels like they're within the realm. Even the Bankais, right? They're the big flashy attacks. They still originate from swords. They still draw a lot of power. They're still very limited in their use. Supposedly, let's wait how long it'll take for Bleach to break that rule. It's inevitable, but for now, the fights in Bleach feel tense to me. But when I watch Sukuna versus Jogo, it's more like I am watching something so over the top and extreme that I cannot fathom the stakes. I mean, I know them cognitively. I understand that Jogo is screwed and that Sukuna is overwhelmingly powerful. Just from the fact that Jogo is firing all these attacks and Sukuna
And he's
not
not
doing
even
anything.
scratched Sukuna. It's just Sukuna told him, listen, you don't have to beat me. All you have to do is hit me once, and I will agree to work under you guys for the duration of my possession. But if you don't, too bad, so sad, go die.
But the thing with me is I don't necessarily feel the stakes quite as viscerally as if the powers were on a more human scale. But for this one episode, I was like, you know what? I like a good old flashy light show every once in a while. It's super splendidly animated. That fire animation when Sukuna threw out his fire for the first
pose
time.
when he does the little bow and arrow and he pulls the fire bow back with his two fingers. Mwah. I coom.
Also, I have to mention this somewhere. Sukuna trollface jump scare.
Yeah.
He flies towards the camera.
And for like one frame.
It's literally one frame. I had to try and capture it. I had to try and pause on that frame like 5 times because I knew it was there subliminally, but I needed to make sure and I needed to screen cap it because I am using that reaction as a reaction image in a video.
Sukuna.exe.
And it's like, I know this is a tense scene, but when I saw that, I just burst out laughing.
It's funny, but at the same time, like, it's funny to us, but at the same time, if, like, you're in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen and you see that face flying at you like that, you are shitting your pants.
Absolutely. Now, my issue with the next episode, episode 17, is that I already got my fill of over-the-top flashy light shows. And also, Jogo is a character I'm invested in. When he kicks the bucket in an admittedly really good death scene that was probably more than Jogo deserved, but you know what? I'm down for it. Jogo cries. He sheds a tear when Sukuna acknowledges his power.
Yeah, Sukuna was like, listen, bro, even though you didn't end up hitting me at all, you did actually give me one of the most entertaining fights of my existence. So be proud about that, Mr. Jogo. You are indeed strong. And just this praise moves Jogo to tears upon his death when he's burning alive in his vision of his friends. And then when he's asking, like, oh, what is this? Like, what is this feeling? Sukuna just stares at him with a smile and replies, I wouldn't know how you feel, bro. I couldn't tell you what the answer is because he is incapable of sadness or emotion because he is the embodiment of evil and he is a true goddamn villain.
That entire scene is so good.
The fact, he can instill that feeling in other people, but he'll never know what it truly is because he's incapable of feeling it. That's awesome.
He can't feel awe. He can't feel happiness. I mean, okay, he can feel happiness. Just not
he can
sadness.
feel deranged, evil happiness.
Exactly, not true happiness, but just
not
smug
like
satisfaction.
Yeah, not like emotional gratification.
But as I've been building up to episode 17, I don't like it very much, and the reason why is because instead of having a villain that I'm invested in fighting another villain that I'm invested in, we get another over-the-top fight scene with even more incomprehensible, well, I wouldn't even say incomprehensible stakes, but stakes that I don't feel at all. Because to me, once again, it's just so far from anything inhuman capabilities that I have no point of reference to it. I just see it as big, over-the-top powers clashing against each other in ways that I can't hope to understand, in ways that also are kinda boring to me. And the reason why is because it suddenly dropped on the viewer that Megumi, or so the way his powers work, there's like 10 different Shikigami he can summon. I'm pretty sure it was 10.
Yeah, the
And
10 shadows.
And you can start off with the first Shikigami, make a pact with it, whatever, and they're easy, they're weak sauce. But the 10th one, no one has I'm pretty sure it's made a pact with him. No, basically no one has been able to just fire that power out willy-nilly, because that Shikigami is so powerful. You can't even hope to obtain its power. But you can forge a pact with another person in order to summon it temporarily. And by making a pact with it in this way, Megumi is basically sacrificing his life, saying, alright, you can kill me after you kill Sukuna. That's the dealio. And he's using it to basically overtake the blonde femboy twink, who is alive, by the way. Forgot to mention that. He's still alive. Remember last podcast? Yeah, so last podcast, I'll just take a brief aside to mention this, because it pissed me off at the very beginning of the episode. Or, no, not even the beginning of the episode, it was the end of last episode. But basically, it's sort of retconned in that the reason why Nanami didn't check if the body was still alive is because he has a bunch of miracles stored under his eyes. That's the markings on his eyes. And that he can cheat death however many times those markings are on his face. And he doesn't know he has this power, but he does. And the narrator tells us it so that we don't ask why Nanami didn't check the body.
I really wish that sometimes that narrator would shut the fuck up and let me figure out the powers for myself, or at least let another character who like is in the world and as a justification to explain it, rather than this non-existent narrator who's reminding me that, oh, this is a TV show, not a world that I'm trying to get immersed in.
Dude, this is jumping way ahead, but in episode 21, there's this one moment where the narrator is like, by combining souls with weak rejection, it creates an amalgamation. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. Then I see the image of what it's describing, and I'm like, you didn't even need to describe it. Your description was entirely unhelpful. I got it immediately once you flashed the image of it. You just had to flash the image.
Or even at the very worst, you could just have someone as experienced as Toto just say to Yuji, oh, he must be combining his powers to do this new thing.
Yeah, it's so clear. To me, it was just like crystal clear upon seeing what it was.
There were a few times throughout the show I was like, okay, Mr. Narrator, please kindly keep your thoughts to yourself and let me experience what is happening with my own 2 eyes and ears.
Yeah, but
I think I'm a smart enough boy to piece together when a man is creating another man out of the souls that he's obtained, or is able to cut things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this instance, it was the best thing that could happen, but only in the sense that Gege had already written himself into a corner by having Nanami not check the body that he obviously should have checked, because this is anime, people never die unless you confirm it. But no, he just assumes that he's dead.
Is Nobara dead? We may never know.
Oh yeah, we never got an answer to that, but that's way ahead. For now, I'm just explaining that Megumi, he summons this 10th Shikigami, and that's the excuse for Sukuna to have another big over-the-top fight with it. The problem is, the Shikigami came into existence 5 minutes ago, so it's like, why would I care? And also, didn't I already have an over-the-top flashy fight scene? Do I really need another one? Of course, the canon excuse is they need to have that fight so that the city can be even more destroyed. So that
The canon explanation is that Sukuna has some kind of plan for Megumi, and he wants to keep him alive.
Well, yeah, also that.
Yeah,
I guess
I didn't want this to be a
canon
bad
explanation isn't the right term, I guess. It would be more so the metatextual reason. That's the phrase I'm looking for. The metatextual reason...
The metatextual reason is that we can have another big, flashy, over-the-top fight.
Well, that and also make city more destroyed, kill more people so that when Yuji wakes up, he is even more traumatized. And, you know, this time it's both of them
it worked.
firing. And to be fair, yeah, it pays off nicely. I really like the ending of that episode. It's the best part of it. The problem is, everything up to that point was entirely boring to me.
So you're telling me you just sat there with a straight, unchanging expression while Sukuna fired off domain expansion in the best animation cut of the season?
See, that was the push and pull of the fight. I didn't have a neutral facial expression per se, but it was like this push and pull of, I want to like this. It is super well directed. It is super well animated. This should be the most hype thing ever. But oh my god, how many episodes of this am I going to have to sit through? Because that was my big fear.
It was only 2! You only had to sit through 2!
It was only
and they were
2.
both great!
Yeah, I only had... The latter one wasn't. I'm just gonna say that right now. And part of that was the fear that it would be like 3 episodes of Sukuna fighting people like this. That was my big fear. Luckily, it was not an extra third one. But yeah, it was a rough time for me personally. Even though I'm going through some of my screenshots I took. I mean, the red background, the way that the city is depicted with all these strong colors. The animation,
dude, the visual of afterward that is consistent throughout the rest of the season after this fight happens, where after Sukuna uses domain expansion in that like fucking what they say 140-meter radius, and how there's just a giant black void on a map of Shibuya now, where there's just like nothing. It's like the darkness. You can see the lights of all the buildings and shit around from like a satellite view. But it's just a hole where he fired off domain expansion. And that even shows up in the opening, where before it was like a flyover shot of Shibuya, but now it's the shot of that spot from the domain expansion expanding and destroying that part of Shibuya. It's so cool.
That shot, I think, is the best piece of symbolism and imagery from the show, where it's not just a well-directed arc. It is like iconic. Like that could be a symbol of Jujutsu Kaisen. Just that whole
of all of the shots throughout like all of Jujutsu Kaisen or like and shonen in general, like that's gonna be one of the most memorable ones. IMO. Like if I could pick a shot to represent all of season 2, like something to go down in history is like the eclipse from Berserk. I know it's not shonen, but I'm just spitballing examples off the top of my head. Goku going Super Saiyan, the Ichigo going Bankai, that kind of shit. The crater from Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 is its moment.
Yeah, I really like the red and white color palette of certain shots. I think anything that is in a red and white stark color palette immediately looks awesome. And there's some shots like that in this giant
buddy, there's this
flashy
video
fight
game
scene.
Called Persona 5 that you're gonna love in that case. Red, white, it's more red and black than red and white, but it doesn't incorporate like white. Those are the 3 primary colors it uses.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of dark shots within the fight scene as well. There's this one moment where the monster goes,
Bro,
like,
that shot of
how do I
Mahoraga
describe it?
walking through the domain expansion with the most thug-ass plug walk imaginable.
Mahoraga, is that the Shikigami?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I did not bother to pick up on its name. But, yeah, there's a lot of great shots in this arc. It's really good looking.
Sukuna through a window, and then Sukuna walks out with a soda and popcorn, but when he tastes them both, he spits them out.
There's also a lot of
Sukuna cannot miss!
There's some almost kaiju disaster-esque shots where it's just giant building burning amid this gray, wretched, destroyed landscape. And I liked those shots a lot. There's so much to
Sukuna's
like
domain
in
expansion,
these shots.
consuming those people who are hiding out, saying that, I think, didn't you hear that kid with the megaphone? We're all gonna be okay. And just their bodies slowly being consumed by the slicing.
That was another bit that made me feel similar to when Jogo burns down that restaurant full of people. Like, I got a little sick. Like, that was the most, I guess, grounded that I felt throughout that whole fight, where I was like, oh, that's just straight messed. That's oof. Those were innocent people. They're just dead now. And there are a lot of innocent people dying throughout this.
Yeah, there's a lot of bystanders. Even towards the end, when jumping. Yeah, jumping. I know this jumping ahead drastically, but when Geto does the transfiguration across the country and turns all those people from non-sorcerers into sorcerers and unleashes all those cursed spirits, when they attack the news team on a broadcast, and then they have to cut to technical difficulties. The couple at home watching it, being like, what? I wonder what that's all about. They film in a movie, and then a couple seconds pass, silence. A cursed spirit comes, then boom, kills them both through their wall.
Not gonna lie, Gege, that was out of pocket. That was completely unnecessary.
Why they gotta do that to a gay couple?
Listen, I'm not upset at you for it. All I'm saying is you're on thin ice. That was completely uncalled for.
It definitely drives the stakes pretty high.
Yeah. So, all in all, I know why this is probably one of your favorite episodes in the entire show. But to me...
It's Sukuna propaganda, and I am fucking brainwashed.
I have not fallen for the Sukuna propaganda just yet. I think
literally
one
name
episode
a single
of
character.
City...
Name a character better than Sukuna.
Nanami.
Oh, too bad. He's fucking dead.
Well, yeah, he is... Dude,
we're
Nanami's
smoking that Nanami pack.
So
Rest
hard.
in peace, Bozo.
I guess we can use that as a smooth segue into the next the biggest portion of episodes in this entire arc, focused on one fight between Yuji and Mahito, and eventually Todo joins the fray, so that we can both take him on together. But it starts off with probably the best death scene in the entire show. It did not need to go this hard.
They were telegraphing the shit out of it with that whole him walking down and playing the music and his his pseudo dream sequence of walking and dancing on the beach in Malaysia.
Well, see, I know they were telegraphing it, but the thing is, what I like about the scene is that he's gonna die as soon as he starts having that flashback. And
I knew motherfucker was gonna die as soon as he's walking around with half his flesh burned off.
I mean, yeah, any thought would tell you that. Although maybe it's the classic shonen trick, just regenerate that flesh, man. Regenerate that lost arm. But it seemed a little far.
Eye.
But what I think makes the scene work so well is that Nanami clearly knows that he's about to go.
Yeah,
and he's like,
it's
I'm
his
tired.
Last stand.
And he's just dreaming about Malaysia. And it's this contrast between the peace of knowing that he's about to go to wherever he may go after death. And he's just imagining himself in Malaysia, spreading his arms, being free of all his earthly worries, versus this fight scene where he says, I'm tired, and then kills an entire room of transfigured humans in his final stand with half his body burned off. He's just one last final fight before he goes. His last contribution to... He goes out like a hero, man. This is his last contribution to the world, and he's using it to take down an entire room of Mahito's forces. And he just 7x3s the hell out of them. It's absolute
until,
kinography.
Until the man himself comes by.
Yeah, and he uses his final words. Because Mahito is right behind him, and he's just like, wanna have a talk? And he's just silent, and he's listening to Yuji come into the room. And instead of giving Mahito any final words, this is what I love. This moment is so good. He just turns to Yuji and says, I'll leave the rest to you. Just nothing for Mahito. And that's so cool.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
And with that,
yeah,
and
then Mahito, it pops him like a water balloon.
Yeah, it doesn't even transfigure him, just pops him. And then he and Yuji start yelling at each other in this amazing scene that I remember you posting to me a while ago about how the dub ain't never gonna capture this moment correctly.
And I listened to it, and I did record that line in the dub for the clip to use for this show. It is definitely not as good.
Nothing is going to match the raw anger behind Mahito. My voice cracked, but he yells Mahito's name. And Mahito yells back, Yuji! And I think Yuji's line is, what the hell are you, Mahito? I forget exactly what Mahito's was.
Mahito was like, you don't have to shout, I can hear you just fine, Itadori, Yuji. He's like mocking him, yelling and screaming, by yelling and screaming at him back.
This is the best Mahito has ever been, and I'll just say this, episode 18 is the beginning of what I think is the best stretch of episodes in the entire show so far. The final 6 episodes of this arc are my favorite part of the entire show.
Yeah, this is the kind of shonen, like, long shonen fight that this show's been, that shonens in general. I wish we get more, like, multi-episode. I'm not talking like 2 to 3. I'm talking like 5 to 6 episode fights where like there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of changing developments. You know, your Goku versus Frieza's. I know the big meme is 5 minutes turns into 4 episodes, lol. But you know, it's cinematic. God damn it.
So something I like about this arc and how it's structured is it seems to be almost trying to pull a Chimera Ant, not that I've seen that arc, but in a way trying to pull it in the sense that the arc has a lot of chaos. It's about the what the hell is even happening moment. And I don't think I quite fully picked up on that in the last block of episodes, but here it finally dawned on me where it's like, oh, why is the reincarnation of Megumi's dad Toji here just running around fucking shit up? It's because it's the most what the hell is even happening moment possible. And it's all about that crazy moment.
I'm in 2 minds about that. I know we're about to dive into Mahito, but I did want to bring this up as a point of contention I had with this season that I want to hear your opinion on. The whole, like, everything that happens in this show is, like, it's nonstop action, and it is never boring. There's not going to be a stretch in this entire season where you're going to be like, oh, yawn, so much fucking, like, nothing happening. Like, there were a couple moments of that in season 1, mainly in the first half, but it solved that come the second half of season 2. But then in this season, after the Gojo flashback arc, the whole Shibuya incident, while everything that happens in it is mostly like pretty fucking kino and spectacular, especially when it comes to the animation of the fights, it does kind of feel like this season was a big and then this happened kind of story. You know what I mean?
I had that exact same thought, worded a little differently. My issue was that it felt like it was adding things in randomly and spontaneously, and also retconning certain things. In the case of Femboy Twink not dying because he had this power that he didn't know about that we're figuring out now for some reason. Or okay, first of all, Toji being reincarnated is actually, I know I said that Sukuna's second episode was the worst part of this arc. actually, scratch that. Megumi's dad might be one of the worst parts of it. Like that, it felt so pointless because in this
I
case,
thought it was gonna be more of a deal than it was, but it honestly just kind of seems like it was like for a cheap, well, not maybe cheap is too harsh, but like a get out of jail free card for the whole Dagon fight that the Maki, Nanami, and now Bito found themselves in, but and Megumi when he joined the fight. But then it felt like when he like is going to fight Megumi and he's so hopelessly outmatched that when it ends in such an abrupt way and then he just takes himself out of the arc entirely, I was like, what was the point of that?
The answer is there is no point. And this has been my contention with it for the entire time ever since he was introduced. This Toji isn't actually Toji. He's just this weird quasi-reincarnation of Toji. And so whatever emotional moments you may get between him and Megumi, it's all just with this fake Toji. And it's like, no, I would be down for that if it was a real, just really that character, but it's not Toji. And so everything he does is just like, I don't know how to feel about it. I'm of two minds about everything he does.
What I want to ask is, what the fuck does his like realization of his son, what does that do for Megumi? Like he doesn't even realize that's his dad.
Megumi just doesn't know what's happening. Like he doesn't know why he turned into another person after he died. He doesn't know. I mean, I assume he can't recognize his dad. I'm lost. What I guess. What the entire thing is building up to is Toji just saying, "Oh, you're still a Fushiguro. That's cool. I'm gonna take myself out because you weren't a Zenin.
I'm gonna kill myself now."
But it's not Toji. And that was what I was screaming in my head the entire time during that scene. It's like, I see what you're doing, but it's not Toji. And we've seen
I'm less concerned with that. Like I'm more willing to accept that it's his, the idea of his soul and his memory, continuing on in like a self-contained vacuum. But I don't get what it means nothing to Megumi. And they don't write it in a way where it means something to him. He doesn't like have a talk with his dad. What should have happened after he told him his name was Fushiguro? Toji should have revealed that. He at the very least like say something like, "Well, you turned out pretty well, son." Then killed himself. Just give a hint. You don't have to dwell on it, but just like they drop the reveal that he is his father, and then have Megumi can still be confused about it, but then leave him with questions like, "Wait, what? The dad? You came back with the milk finally?"
I mean, yeah, even that would be better. I don't think anything will get me over the hurdle of that's not Toji, but at the same time, you could have written it better than this, of him just killing himself because he's not a Zenin.
Yeah, because like the fight itself is like it's like all the fights is pretty good. It's like especially the part where Megumi summons all the rabbits who do the kung fu on him, but then he just shit stomps them all. I love how when he stomps on the ground and then all the debris flies up, all he does is like poke the debris, the little tiny chunks of debris, and like rapid fire poking them all and pushing them at like supersonic speeds to destroy all of the rabbits. That was pretty funny.
Unbelievably badass. That was cool. And yeah, rabbit murder, that's fun. I just wish it had a more satisfying ending. But you want to know what did... Oh, go on. I'll let you say your last thing before I do smooth segue.
Well, that's about Toji, but it's like this whole thing of the going back to my and then this happened. It just kind of like let's go through the order of events that happens throughout the entirety of the Shibuya arc. So, the incident occurs, in Shibuya. The villains are setting up their plan. Gojo is dispatched. All the teams are dispatched. Okay, that's fine. Gojo encounters a bunch of the curses. He does his thing. Yeah, it makes sense. Geto shows up, but it's a fake Gato, and then he traps them. That makes sense. Now the mission has changed. We gotta save Gojo. Uh, so Yuji fights, what a bug man, whatever. Then he fights the blood dude, Chozo, and Chozo is like not characterized at all up until this point. So aside from he wants to avenge his dead brothers, and then just kind of gets the reveal added in later that he and Yuji are blood related, I guess. Okay, the what? But okay. So then they have a fight, and then the squad for Wee Wee and Mei Mei, they go down, they fight a cancer or whatever, I think it was like smallpox curse. They go on to supposedly fight Gato. We never see that part. We just see that they hightailed it the fuck out of there because apparently Gato was too strong. Then after the Chozo thing, Jogo shows up, and also the no, hold on. I'm even going out of order. The kids show up. Those two girls that work under Gato. They feed him the fingers. Meanwhile, Maki, Nanami, and now Bito are fighting Dagon. That's fine. That's setting up that fight. Dagon evolves, does his domain expansion, and then Megumi shows up. Then Toji shows up. Then Toji fights Megumi for a reason that makes sense at first. He goes after the strongest, and I guess Megumi is technically, if how you want to go at it with Mahoraga, is the strongest one there. Then Jogo shows up out of nowhere. Fucking ices all three of them, basically. Goes after Yuji with Sukuna. Then Sukuna comes out. Then Jogo happens. And then after Megumi is done with the whole Toji thing, and then fucking what's his face, the femboy comes out. He inserts himself back into the narrative. Then Megumi, with no other choice, is like, all right, fuck it, Mahoraga time. Suicide vest. Then Sukuna's like, all right, I'll fight this guy now to save Megumi. And then Yuji goes back, fights Mahito. Nobara is fighting a second Mahito that apparently split the whole time. Because Nobara is also fighting who she fight. She also fought the femboy. It feels like a lot of big events happen, but like there wasn't enough connective tissue between these events to make them there's no time to breathe. We don't have a moment to be like, okay, it's time to regroup, re-strategize. And I guess you can say that it adds to the tension that these villains are such a constant encroaching threat that not giving the heroes time to breathe ratchets up the tension. But to do that constantly, nonstop throughout this whole arc is kind of suffocating, if that makes sense, and then makes it kind of hard to appreciate how we get to certain big moments when it's like, oh, okay. And all of a sudden the Kyoto students show up and Todo shows up.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily mind that it's constant action and that it feels a little suffocating, although I do totally get where you're coming from. My issue is, it feels like we needed a setup episode, just a good long setup episode of here's maybe some of the powers, some brief foreshadowing to what the villains can do. Just get a rain check on where everyone is and what they're doing right before this arc, and just lay some more foundation, and then maybe continually.
I'm gonna do you one better.
Brief...
I think this arc happened way too soon. For the amount of things that happened in it, we got this way too soon.
Admittedly, all our villains are dead except for Geto, so I do see
and
where
Sukuna,
you're coming from with that. And Sukuna, but yeah, he's not the main threat.
He's not active. He only comes out when the time is right. But Geto is the only active villain remaining.
Yeah. Although, the way it sets up Geto as the next main villain is really good. And, I don't think I necessarily feel like it was too soon, even if the villains, I mean, to be fair, most of the villains could have been way more developed. Mahito, I think, was fine. We already have
Mahito was
reason
fine.
to hate
I feel
him.
like Nanami's death would have hit a whole lot harder if we had more than one arc spent with him.
True. I mean, more Nanami is obviously a good thing in my book, no matter what.
More Nobara would have been appreciated too. Yeah, you know what pissed me off the most throughout this whole season? It was the episode right before technically right after and right before Nobara got her face blown up by Mahito, where we get this little shot at the beginning of the episode, like right after she gets her face blown off, where we see this little group shenanigan between Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara, where Nobara spills coffee on Gojo's expensive shirt, and they're all trying to, like, alright, how are we gonna get ourselves out of this one? And Nobara's trying to clean it up. They're all, the chemistry between them is actually pretty insane. I love how Nobara's like, okay, between the assistant guy who left me in charge of the shirt and me spilling the coffee on the shirt, which one of us is most at fault here? And then Megumi and Yuji are instantly like, it's you.
There's that adorable visual next to her on the whiteboard.
On the scale. And then trying to clean it up and
tipping
then
towards her.
And they blot the mess, making it worse. Nobara just said, like, you know what? I think it makes it look like a designer brand. And Megumi's like, don't insult it like that. And then when Gojo comes in to check on it, they just stuffed the shirt inside Megumi's uniform. And Yuji and Nobara are like holding back laughter. And they're like, we can't take it anymore. The jig is up, and they pull the shirt out. And they're all just laughing about it. Why haven't we been getting moments like that throughout the entire, like, but like, why have we had an arc of like moments of that interspersed? I can only recall a small handful of moments, like the whole thing where they go back to Megumi's school. Like, that was fun character writing. The moment at the beginning of this season after the Gojo arc where they're all hanging out with that one girl that Yuji meets, who, by the way, what, like, now that the whole season's over, was there a point to that? Is that gonna come back in the story, or is that like what was that whole thing with the girl from Yuji's childhood?
See, I had that thought as the scene was happening. And I just had that fear that it wouldn't amount to anything. It has not amounted to anything. So yeah, what was that about?
As cute and fun as it was, it's just kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is that Nobara hasn't won a fight this season.
It has in her life. She's won one fight, I think, throughout the two fights technically, although the first one was her introduction, where it was like to a jobber, and she technically needed help from Yuji. She's not won a solo fight this whole show. And then, like, she was about to win against the witch, she got robbed by Mai. She only won that fight with the other cursed, like the brothers of Chozo, because she was with Yuji. She has not gotten a solo moment to shine throughout the whole time, except when she was about to defeat Mahito's clone, and because Resonance is so OP, Gege was like, "Damn, I kinda made Nobara too strong. Let me write her out of the show and blow her face off. There, she's dead, or we'll leave it up in the air. She's definitely not dead because there's no fucking way they're gonna kill one of the main primary characters of the cast that soon."
See, I like that moment a lot. But I just wish she won something before that. Like, have her get something. No, I really like her powers. That's the thing. Out of Yuji and Megumi's powers, Nobara's is the one that, like, aesthetically and instinctually appeals to me the most.
Yeah,
stabbing
like,
people with nails and doing voodoo stuff. That's crazy. I love it. She does not win a fight
Yuji
this
just
season.
punches really hard and Megumi just makes monsters.
Yeah. But like Nobara's is so unique and so cool. And it's like, I feel like she could be the ultimate badass character in the show, but she just Toto has more moments to shine than her in this arc, damn it.
Toto has more moments to shine throughout this fight than Nobara has.
I like Toto more as a character than Nobara. That's
Toto's
insane.
like one of the best characters in the show, and he's not even he might as well be one of the primary cast at this point. In the two
Yeah,
fights
like-
he's been the highlights of both.
That's the thing. Characterization on the. I feel like in season 1, it was the series' biggest asset in the sense that it would have all these wacky characters pop in, like Nanami, like Miwa, all the people from the next school, Toto, and seeing them introduced is like, oh, it has this wacky, colorful cast of characters. That's the best part of the show. But with this season, it's started to become its biggest detriment, where now that we're no longer introducing new characters, now we have to see them, like, build up the chemistry. But
Except we skipped that part for a majority of them, and having straight to go to, okay, time for life and death battles, where some characters who we didn't flesh out are going to die, or some characters who, even cool characters like Naobito, who I'm very confident that motherfucker must be dead, right?
Yeah, there's no way he's alive. Maki, we have not had a checkup on? We have not had confirmation one way or the other?
Yeah, apparently Inumaki got his arm torn off by Sukuna at some point. That was sad to see that happen off screen.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about his arm getting torn off, so yeah, I guess it was off screen. Yeah, just what happened to Maki? There's no way she's dead. If she is, I mean, I guess you committed to the bit, so good job, but also, what the hell?
Of
all the characters, Maki did not deserve an unceremonious death. Like, she can't be dead, right?
I know
Maybe
the answer
she
to
is.
that, but
yeah, don't tell me.
Yeah, well, I won't tell you. And no one of you better keep your mouths shut in the comments too.
I don't read the comments on these podcasts, don't worry.
But yeah, there's a lot of things of the ending to the season. I promise we'll dive into the Mahito fight as the last big topic of the show. But the ending to this arc is definitely the worst part of it, in my opinion, because as soon as Geto shows up, which does feel like another and then this happened type beat, because then fucking Yuki Tsukumo, where the fuck did she come from?
Yuki Tsukimo. I don't actually
remember. She's the blonde-haired
remember.
Girl that Toto. She's
oh
the one
yeah.
I
mean, I don't really question how they got involved, because Geto was probably just keeping general tabs on the fight. Like, it felt more like a Chekhov's gun finally firing in that instance. Yuki Tsukumo is a bit more preposterous, but I can see it. I can see, they're rushing, because the entire arc, they're rushing to get as many people on the scene as possible, is what I imagine is happening in the background. So I don't mind either that she appears, even if it is a little more random. I guess my big issue with the "and then this happened" is, where the fuck was Geto's plan this whole time? Why are we hearing about this for the first time now? I mean, I guess it's a cool twist, but it feels like it's a lot to dump on the viewer at once.
Yeah, like, I feel like they played their cards a little too close to the chest on, like, Geto and his plan. So what he does is that we know he's not actually Geto. He's a curse, like, brain guy using Geto's body, and it turns out it's not the first time he's pulled this type of shit, because he's revealed to be also known as Noritoshi Kamo, who was the most evil sorcerer in history, responsible for those
which is a very random, very random reveal.
Yeah, that he was the guy who made the curse wombs that fucking Choso and these other two guys were from, who, like,
I don't even know how
women.
Choso figured that out. Like, I get how he figured out what Yuji was, because it was because of his powers. I don't know how he
something
deduced...
about, like, he's had, like, he has the blood of 3 people. He has, like, 3 parents. He has the mom that birthed him, the curse that was implanted in the mom, and the dad the dad sorcerer who did it in the first place.
Then why didn't he figure it out sooner? Why is it only now? That's my question.
Excellent question. You know what? I never thought about it till now, but that's an excellent fucking question.
Yeah, I mean, if he had the blood in him the entire time, why now?
I mean, I guess because he didn't realize Yuji was his brother until he was about to kill him, and then because he said like, "Oh I can sense the life force of my brothers because they're blood related." And
Well, Yuji, I got.
Maybe it's because he's in Gato's body and not that the evil sorcerer dudes. Maybe that's threw him off the trail.
But Geto hasn't been in a situation that's like too life-ending, like too close to killing him.
No,
he's been
I'm saying
kind
like
of
maybe like because he's when he did all that experimenting stuff, it was when he was in the body of Noritoshi Kamo. But then when he switched at some point when he switched over bodies to Gato, maybe that like he got rid of the Kamo blood.
I mean, either way, I feel like well, also if he got rid of the Kamo blood, how the hell is he sensing it now with his spidey senses? It feels like there's
you're
a
right.
bit of logic that is being sort of brushed aside that maybe we should give to the viewer so we understand what's happening.
Yeah,
just a
also
thought.
Choso's now a good guy, by the way.
I actually like that. I know you could call that and then this happened. I'm actually super down for that. I feel like Choso as a good guy will make his character
if we had
more
build up
interesting.
to it. But because
Well, yeah, it's not great writing.
Like
I'm just saying.
I like the most I like Choso is when he's doing this whole, all right, listen, Yuji, call me Big Brother, call me Oni-chan. And it's like
that was peak.
That's funny. That's entertaining. It's cute, but it's like now all of a sudden you expect like just because he does these cute things now, you expect me to like him. I'm sure that he'll get better in season 3, but I feel like it's like this would have been much appreciated when you had that big fight between him and Yuji before. Because you were talking about how you had no stakes for the Sukuna Maharaga fight. That was me in the Yuji Choso fight where I recognize that's a cool ass fight, but it did not. Almost like you, I did not care for like the stakes behind it until the end.
I mean, yeah, the moment itself I do enjoy, but there is this looming feeling of which Choso is only just now becoming a character, even though his powers are super cool. I love his powers. And
yeah,
I felt a lot more tense during that fight between
my big point being like there should have been another arc dedicated to fleshing out these characters and giving us more time to be invested in them, so that way their moments can hit all the harder. So that way we can make Choso sympathetic going into his fight, where it's like you still want Yuji to win because you don't want our main character to die, but you can understand why Choso is like doing what he does and why like he had like his stake in that fight with Yuji. And give us like more insight to Nanami as a character than just one arc. And we got a lot of insight from that one arc that he was in, but it's because we haven't spent as much time with him as I would have liked to be like, oh, okay, like he feels like he's like it felt more like he was like a special guest in this part of the story, and it's like, oh my god, Kento Nanami showed up, and like it's like him showing up on as a guest on a talk show, and then like him being like, okay, thank you for coming, Mr. Nanami, we'll see you later. And then when he comes back and has his big death scene, it's like, well, I don't feel nothing, but I can't help but wonder, damn, if we had spent a little more time with him, and he'd be like he became like one of the members of the Jujutsu Kaisen family, and like his death would have hit all the harder.
You know, I wasn't fully on board with the we needed another arc before this critique until, as you're explaining it to me, I'm kind of coming on to your side, like, yeah, that probably would be nice now that I think about it.
Character trajectory defining changing moments that it happens throughout this whole arc, where it's like, especially for, for Maki, for who may or may not be dead, for Nanami, for Nobara, for Megumi. The only one that it works for is Yuji, because he goes through boy goes through a lot this arc. And he only, has the most, like, it hits the hardest with Yuji because he's the guy we spent the most time with.
Yeah, it's definitely this season's Achilles heel, which is why I can't exactly get behind the lavish praise that this season has been getting, where I understand where it's coming from, because a lot of what happens in this arc is peak.
I too would give the show a 10 out of 10 if I only cared about jingling keys and pretty lights, but I need a little meat on the bones.
Yeah, but fortunately, it's not all just jingling keys and pretty lights. There is, in fact, some meat to it in the Mahito versus Yuji fight, which, I'm just gonna say it right now, best fight of the show, best part of this block of episodes by far.
Yeah,
it is spectacular.
It's pretty spectacular. The whole, even outside of just, like, the fight animation, which, goes without saying at this point, but even, like, I like how it takes moments to be like, Mahito and Yuji have these little back and forths on their ideologies, and how Mahito, like, the whole time is being like, Yuji, like, why do you give a shit whether or not I, like, do all of these things that I do? Would you rather I count off all the people I killed? I truly don't care. And it's like, it's you caring so much for these people, which is why you're going to lose to me, because it's my not caring that lets me take a guy, touch him, and end his life by turning him into a sword, which is, raw as fuck on the surface, and also hilarious, like, fucked up, where he could be like, you see this? Like, I'll turn this guy into a sword, Morty, and it'll mean nothing to me, because it's all I want to do is ensure a world of curses and not humans, because humans are fucking gay, and these curses are going to be the ones ruling the world.
I love how he transforms his hand into literally like a tiny sock puppet Junpei, and then kills him again in front of Itadori in order to just to piss him off. And as well, the psychological tactics in this fight I find are really interesting, because Mahito's whole deal is, I want to crush Yuji psychologically to the point where he becomes like Subaru in ReZero, just completely unresponsive. And he does that by getting a body double and basically trying to kill Nobara there, but he doesn't quite manage it, so he and the body double start running towards each other, and I love this moment so much, because it's part of the chaos of this arc, where you expect them to morph into one, but then they run past each other, and the stronger of the two hits Nobara, like, just touches Nobara on the face. And it like, the reason why he had the two bodies run past each other is to confuse Nobara and Yuji. And obviously the weaker one can try to fend off Yuji, while the stronger one touches Nobara and explodes half her face.
Yeah,
which
that
is
moment was
a
great,
great
but
moment.
Yeah, but what I love about it, even on top of that, because it's our girl Nobara might be fucking dead. Like, I can't, like, even though, like, if you have any media literacy or you're genre savvy, they're not gonna fucking kill Nobara right then and there. But the way they sell it, like, they sell it pretty hard, where she has, like, you know what, Yuji, tell all my friends that I had a good life. Then you see her face start to, like, swell up, and then you see from the angle, like, behind her head, blows up, she drops to her knees, drops down on the floor, and then in the next episode, we see this grotesque shot of her face busted open from where her eye was, and her skin's gone gray. She looks like she's fucking dead. Like, if this weren't a shonen where death is not guaranteed until the body is called by the coroner, so to speak, she would be 100% stone cold dead. And then while Yuji's, like, processing this, one of Yuji's best friends is dead, Mahito runs up And Black flashes the motherfucker. He is ascending in power and like, you know, mocking him while he's beating the shit out of him. That is like some of the most evil shit that's gone down in this season. In the same season where Sukuna, you know, blows up a girl's head just because they made a request of him that he agreed to listen to.
Yeah, and another thing I like about her death scene is the flashback before it, which, first of all, that girl with no mouth, I wrote her name down, Fumi. La Creatura is Fumi, and she is depicted with no mouth most of the time, but she has the most adorable, just mouthless expression. I have so many screenshots of her, just all the little faces she makes. It's amazing.
The fucking
but also
Komi-san-esque faces. Or rather, lack thereof, because it's just eyes and a big, chubby face with no mouth.
First of all, I want a slice of life with Fumi and Nobara. They have such great chemistry. Just within their brief, just existing on screen together for like maybe a third to a half episode at most.
Also, they did the thing again. They dove into a character's backstory right before they seemingly killed them off.
Well, yeah, that's kind of just a shonen thing. You have a flashback right before a big moment.
I don't like that.
I like it in the sense that it's a moment of respite right before a seriously gut-wrenching moment. First of all, because it breaks up the constant action, but honestly, I like flashbacks before big moments. And it's not like Nobara didn't have a character before this. I'd be pissed off if this was the first characterization she was getting. Sure, Nobara should have gotten more cool moments, and
I'm just not a fan of the trope of, oh, this character's getting a lot of backstory and focus. Oh, they're about to die. Or at least in Nobara's case, we don't know for sure, but there's no fucking way she's dead.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's more annoying if they're actually dead. She's obviously not dead. I mean, I don't think anyone watching this show
I'm looking forward to when she
for
comes
half
back,
a moment.
Either next season or maybe, I don't know, the season after, and she's got a cool, either she gets like a fucking eye patch or she's got a cool scar running down her face. No,
she's
the
coming back immediately.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she's gonna come back within the first few episodes. Either that or she regenerates the eye somehow. Who knows? It's a shonen anime.
I will be pissed if she gets that eye back.
I will be pissed if any of the characters get their limbs back in any cheap, forced, immediate way. That would be
except for Toto. I want Toto
cringe
to get his hand back because I need that boogie woogie stat.
I hope he gets some kind of prosthetic hands that can channel cursed energy such that he can do his boogie woogie.
That would be good too.
With his prosthetic hands. I want that version of the character where he keeps his battle scar but can also still boogie woogie it all the way to heaven and hell and all the way back.
Yeah, speaking of when Toto shows back up to help out Yuji against Mahito and delivers one of his classic Aoi Toto pep talks and gets Yuji back into the fight. Ooh, it's like the second half of season 1 all over again.
Yeah, he tells Yuji, and I like this. Hey, yo, there's no such thing as, like, you know, guilt and deserving or whatever. I forget his exact phrase, but it's basically, you can't feel guilty about the lives that you lost, maybe because of your inaction or maybe not being good enough. That doesn't exist for Jujutsu sorcerers. It's inevitable, it's just part of the job, but listen, bro. What you do have a responsibility to carry out is the words of the dead, their wills, their wishes. And let me just remind you, Nanami, what was his wish before he died? Oh, right, it was to mop the floor with Mahito. So you better start doing that, Yuji, my brother. It's amazing.
Yeah, I do like how it ties in with Yuji's whole proper death thing and how, you know, one of the ways to give people a proper death, even if their lives are tragically cut short, you can honor their final wishes, and honoring Nanami's final wish of leaving the rest of the fight that they were having to him to take down Mahito. That's pretty good, kid.
Yeah, that's absolute kinography, and Todo joining in the fight. I mean, he's always a welcome face. Once again, unironically, one of the best characters in the show. And with the boogie woogie,
I love how his power is so simple yet so cool. I never get tired of seeing it.
Yeah, it just makes all the fight choreography instantly memorable, as if it wasn't already memorable enough. Because Mahito just goes crazy with all the shape-shifting and transforming in this specific fight.
Mahito is
because
like,
it's his
has
last
the most
fight.
variety out of anyone in the show. He's got like, his basic power is, he touches someone, he morphs them against their will into like a grotesque shape. He can do all kinds of shit with that, or he can just make you explode if he touches you. But then he grows throughout the series to the point where he learns how to shapeshift his own body, and then he can shapeshift other people into like different weapons, and then he learns fucking domain expansion. He learns he copies Gojo's 0.2 second domain expansion. It's awesome. Like the fact when he severs his own head and then grows back two little like eye sockets that he uses tendrils to whip at Todo and Yuji, while his head regrows limbs and like tiny little Kirby feet and hands, and just like starts running around like a little troll guy. He's such like a demented, goofy threat.
Yeah, and even the small things of like making a transfigured human into a train monster. Just the specifically that it is a train monster. That is amazing. And it starts chewing.
When he's got Yuji in that elevator shaft pinned against the wall, and he purses his lips together for a kiss, but then he turns them into blades and tries to stab Yuji with a kiss of death.
I screenshotted every second of that bit of animation.
Yeah, I love the bit where he has that wall of transfigured human flesh closing in on them against another wall, to the point where like their fight goes to them hugging the wall, and they're like balancing on top of like not even a foot of like space width-wise, but they're still fighting. There's a lot of creative choreography going on in the show. It's one of its strongest attributes.
Yeah, I think the choreography in this fight is the best in the entire show. Just because, due to Mahito's nature, you can immediately do so much with it. Where, he's making himself so that's like wire mesh fence sort of pattern, so people just punch through him. He can make the punches miss like that. It's so good.
Yeah, and then after he hits domain expansion, this is where that shit goes up to 11, because he has a moment where, because the reason he can't do domain expansion or even idle transfiguration on Yuji is because when he touches Yuji's soul, he also touches Sukuna's soul, and the last time he tried that, he got his shit pushed in. So he's like, okay, well, I can't use it on Yuji, but I've learned from Gojo, so I'll use my domain expansion for 0.2 seconds, where it won't hit completely, but it'll hit just enough for what I'm going for, and also keep me safe from Sukuna. But I love how when he talks to Sukuna, Sukuna doesn't even like spare him a thought. He just looks at him with that devious smile, being like, "Yeah, talk all that shit, bro. I have a feeling that your ass is gonna be grasped real soon."
Yeah, and after that, Todo's hand starts to transfigure, and he chops it off with his other hand. He severs his arm with his other hand.
There's not even like pomp and circumstance behind it, where it's like, this is like the game-changing moment of the fight. He's just like, oh shit, my hand's about to morph and consume my body. Chop, and then chops it off. And there's not a big deal made about it, but Mahito does realize, all right, now that I've taken away his main power, I can take him out. But then when he rushes him, Todo's locket drops off, and inside of it, that he's been kissing the whole time, wearing on his neck, is a picture of both Takada the Idol and Yuji. And when Mahito sees this, he's like, wait, what the fuck is that? And in Todo's mind, he's with Takada beside him. He's beating the shit out of Mahito, and then he slaps Mahito's hand, and that counts as a clap, switches into Yuji to hit him with one more black flash, ooh, it's that I popped off when that happened.
That was one of, if not, definitely up there with the best moments of the entire season and arc. That was such a
and
good
in the
moment.
same fucking episode, not even like 5 minutes later, Mahito, unlocks his full potential, becomes more like curse-like than human-like, and gets even stronger. And then Yuji and him have one more final fight, one final showdown. And Yuji is about to land a finishing blow. Mahito's about to defend against it, but then Todo comes back and he's like, listen, bro, you think I need my other hand to clap? Let me tell you something about applause. It's not something restricted by the body. It's all about the human soul. And he claps his hand with his open wound, and Mahito thinks that it's gonna work, slashes at where he thinks he's gonna swap with, but then nothing happens, realizes he's been tricked, lets his guard down. Yuji hits him with one final blow, and then after that, oh my god, the catharsis of him, like finally, like this guy who's instilled nothing but fear and, playing with human lives this whole time. Now that Yuji Itadori is putting the fear of God in this man when he tells him, you're right, Mahito, I am you. And I've been trying to like have some righteous justification to my actions, but you know what? I've accepted my place in this world, and as someone who exercises curses, and every time you reincarnate, I will kill you again and again. Change your name, change your face. I will hunt you down, and I'll kill you. And Mahito is pissing himself in fear.
I love the way the decision to have the death scene staged, in dreamlike fashion in this cold, wintry forest, as Yuji is just slowly walking towards him.
He's the wolf pursuing the wounded rabbit that is Mahito. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So much catharsis. And then we were robbed when Geto shows up and denies Yuji the killing blow. Ooh, I was pissed.
The worst. Just the absolute worst. I mean, I love it as a twist, but the worst.
My balls have never been bluer.
And I do love this idea that, Mahito, he toys with human lives so recklessly, but as soon as his own is toyed with, he just becomes this sniveling, cowardly lump. Like, all his bravado is gone, he's
smugness. Reduced to throwing just mud at Yuji to get him to stay away. He packs a thing, like a rock, into one of the mud puddles and throws it at him, and Yuji just is unchanging expression, just staring at him with those like killer eyes.
And I think with that, I mean, we've sort of already gone into all the stuff that happens, at least all the important plot points that happen with Geto.
Yeah, and then I guess it just kind of, I don't like that he did it, and then we didn't get like a fallout of it. I guess that'll come in season 3. But man, I was really hoping that we'd get like the fallout at the final episode of season 2. But no, it's just
I thought we were like, when I saw the episode count and saw that Mahito was about to die with 2 episodes left, I thought the majority of those 2 episodes were going to be the fallout. But no, Geto comes to just spill some exposition and say, "Ayo, I'm the next big threat." And
to showcase how much of a threat he is, he showcases the most powerful feat of strength we've seen yet, where he blocks Miwa's quick draw.
All I'm saying is the one phrase in my mind when I saw that was, "the bastard." That bastard.
I love how he blocks Miwa's attack like nothing, and then proceeds to use presumably his strongest attack against her.
Yeah, she's saved just in the nick of time by I'm pretty sure it was, God, who was it? It was one of the sword guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when the other Kyoto students show up and they're useless.
Yeah, and, they kind of didn't do much at all, which is to say nothing.
We're just
be
kind
fair-
of proving Mechamaru right.
Yeah, I like the decision on Mechamaru's end to keep them away from the fight. I actually think it would be even better if it was just Miwa that he was interested in protecting. Like, she was the only one who had to rush back and get in just in the nick of time to see Geto. Because, obviously, Mechamaru had the hots for her. Not that I can blame him, of course.
She's no Maki, but she's definitely second prettiest.
Listen, all I'm saying is when Miwa was thinking to herself, put it all in, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I think every time you're on screen.
I will put it all in, Miwa Kasumi.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
we can
we're
just
definitely
go
not
into
forgetting
final
any
thoughts.
we're not forgetting any fan favorite character that people are gushing over that came back at the very end and is setting up for a big arc in season 3.
Wait, which one is that?
Yeah, wait, yeah, you're actually forgetting about Yuta? Is this a bit?
Oh, Yuta, right? He
it's
was
white,
there.
It's white bread Yuta. He's back, guys. It's
Well,
the
see,
goat apparently.
He didn't. We'll see. Unlike other people, he's not a fan favorite character of mine. So I was just kind of like, oh, he's there, I guess. Okay. And that
I
was
was
the
sad
extent
that
of
we
my
did not
reaction.
get a cameo from the actual best character, Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel, that extremely memorable and relevant character that everyone loves very much.
I liked him more than Yuta in the movie.
I like Yuta more than Miguel. Miguel is nobody. Yuta.
Exactly.
Nobody is more
Yuta's a
interesting
nobody.
than Yuta. Yuta had themes to his character. They weren't executed well, but he had them. I do like that Yuta is the one killing Yuji, which, by the way, I'm gonna just say it right now. I can't really blame them for wanting to kill Yuta. He did kinda become Sukuna and kill half a city.
Kill Yuji, but yeah. I mean, yeah,
Well,
there's
yeah,
this
kill
whole thing
Yuji.
now where the higher ups are being like, all right, you can't unseal Gojo. That is going to be considered a criminal act. Yuta is now going to carry out the execution of Yuji Itadori, and also I guess they're gonna reveal to the world, at least at least maybe to Japan. They weren't exactly 100% clear on it, but they're gonna reveal cursed beings and whatnot to the world, maybe.
That is something that I dearly hope happens, because like whenever there's these shows where there's these powers that nobody knows about, I always imagine like what would it be like if if humanity found out that existed. Like what would Harry Potter be if they figured out that magic wizards exist? That would be so interesting. But I don't think I've seen a show where that actually happens. So if that happens in Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm down for it. I think it'll be kinography, peak fiction even.
Yeah, because the thing that Geto does, that he said he turned a bunch of normal people into sorcerers, and I guess he's gonna have a plan with that. So we'll see where he goes with that.
Yeah, the way he described it, it's like having a bunch of Yuji Itadoris running around, causing mayhem. Malevolent Yuji Itadoris is his exact phrase.
Yeah, so I guess that would be threatening. We've seen what one Yuji Itadori can do by himself, so I guess having a whole city or a country or full of them would be, DEFCON 5.
Yeah, and with that, that's about it.
Yeah, I was just very surprised Gojo did not get saved in the end. He's still trapped away.
Oh yeah, I forgot to be all smug about that. Ha, I was right, you were wrong. Ha. Okay, that's my smugness over.
Yeah, color me surprised.
My prediction became true. The show
really
is better
thought.
for it.
Yeah, hey, as the number one Gojo hater on the internet, you're not gonna hear me complaining about it. I complain about less Gojo.
See, I wasn't necessarily as big of a Gojo hater, because in my mind, I was always like, okay, but how interesting will it be when he isn't there anymore? And now he isn't there anymore. That's the entire
surprise,
appeal
surprise.
of
The show's a lot
stupidly strong.
The stakes are a lot higher now that I know Gojo's not just gonna come out at the last second and save everyone the second he's on screen.
And that's what I like about him and his nature. Granted, you could say, well, what does it say about Gojo that he's most interesting when he's not there? And you do have a point there. However, I will say it's still interesting either way. Having a super powerful character leave and see people cope with that in terms of the power struggle currently happening.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to an end of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Are we both in agreement that it's better than Season 1?
It is better than Season 1 just because it has so many Kino moments, even if it is a lot less consistent, is my overall thoughts on the season. And I'm surprised that I, at the very least, haven't seen anyone talk about how inconsistent it is in quality, except for us. Like, I feel like this season had way...
I hate to beat this drum, but, it could just be that we're just smarter than everyone else and can see a show for more than just its action animation.
I try not to be cynical about humanity, but you may have a point.
Well, maybe not necessarily cynical about humanity. It's being like, I'm just saying I'm not surprised that a show like Demon Slayer is so popular when you can just take a look at its writing and be like, no, this is not good.
Yeah, this season, overall, I'd say it's a fairly solid 8, just like Season 1. A little, it edges it out.
It could have been a 10 if we had, another decently sized arc before this one. If this were Season 3 of the show, or, if this was Season 3, and we had, a Season 2 of we can have the Gojo flashback, and we can have another, small arc or two dedicated to getting us more attached to the characters, making us, getting used to them being around and knowing about their past and their struggles, their drive, what they want to do in their lives, and then have it all come crashing down in this high stakes, action packed arc where so many different plot lines and character trajectories are changed for permanently. It had the potential to be a masterpiece, but I feel like Gege wanted to rush out a big climactic arc, the game-changing arc so soon without setting up. It's like he was making a pizza, but he just, instead of taking his time getting all of his ingredients and getting it all into the oven and baking it at a proper temperature, all he did was he slapped the dough down, slapped the sauce on, and sprinkled on a shit ton of cheese. And then he just threw that motherfucker in the oven. And we didn't get the time to, delicately place the toppings. Have a nice little distribution of cheese and sauce and dough. It's a big, saucy, cheesy pizza. It's like the anime equivalent of if you've ever seen one of those giant pizzas the size of a bed or a table. That's the anime equivalent of what this is.
I will say, I've never been more inspired to write a shonen story myself than when watching this arc, because I literally, after a few episodes, I went on a bike ride and just brainstormed ideas for how I would incorporate a similar idea into a story that I plan
I had
on
a couple
writing
moments
someday.
like that while watching this season, especially with the Yuji Mahito stuff. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna take a lot of inspiration from this.
Yes, creatively sanctioned thievery. Let's go.
Yeah.
But
hey man, there's nothing original under the sun. Therefore, I can use that as an excuse to base all of my ideas off of other people's works.
But in terms of overall construction and narrative fidelity, I mean, it's not bad, but it could have been way
It's not
better.
bad. It's definitely not bad. I'm sad that it could have been perfect, but it wasn't given enough time to breathe and enough time for us to for the story and the world of Jujutsu Kaisen to grow before we got hit with such a game-changing event.
Yeah, but it is good. We do still recommend you watch it if you, for some bizarre reason, have not just somehow, like dodging raindrops in a rainstorm, just haven't seen this show, have dodged all talk of it. You should watch it.
Yeah, there was a quote from one of the MAPPA animators who said that, as we all know, the production was unfortunately rushed, and the MAPPA animators said, yeah, everything about season 2 ended up kind of being only like 30% of what we wanted to do. So if this is MAPPA at 30% of their power, I bend the knee. I kneel before what 100% MAPPA looks like.
I guess that would be Chainsaw Man, which this isn't nearly.
Even then, there was some of the Chainsaw Man moments.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe Chainsaw Man is like the 80% complete vision. And then we can only imagine, maybe the Chainsaw Man movie will be the 100%, because they're put in, it's a movie, those typically have better production schedules. Maybe we'll be kneeling then. But until that point,
I'm so excited
we can only
Chainsaw
dream.
Man movie.
Dude, I love Chainsaw Man so
I
much.
think Chainsaw Man's better than Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, easily. That's my opinion. It's probably, aside from Assassination Classroom and maybe Soul Eater, yeah, probably the best shonen I've seen.
Yeah, and well, with that, I guess that'll bring us to an end of this episode. As always, we'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, everything you liked about it, everything, maybe if this is your opportunity. This is a free, safe space to criticize Jujutsu Kaisen. I know it's might be scary to go against the grain when everyone else is sucking the show off so much, but if you have any criticisms, we'd love to hear about it. So don't be afraid to let us know about that down in the comments. If you like the podcast, be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on another episode. We're definitely going to be covering Season 3. Whenever that comes out, I hope they take their time with this one. Because if this is only, once again, if this is only 30%, I would love nothing more than to see a 100% power Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, everyone almost certainly hopes for that future where, animators aren't regularly dying of overwork.
Especially at MAPPA.
Yeah.
And MAPPA is more punished than Yuji was this entire arc.
Yeah, I bet the animators related to his struggle. But it is what it is. Shikata Ganai.
Yep. And that'll do her for this episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.